There once was a man by the name of Walter. He was a knight. Should he be challenged, he would win any fight. The greatest knight of all the lands, no lie. If one dared to fight him, chances are they would die. As a man, Walter was strong. It was ludicrous to fight him. Just go along. Walter was a master with weapons, but it would be stupid to test this, I reckon. He was a master with his shield. It was shocking. What did he use it for? Of course for blocking. His armor was amazing. It was fantastic. It was made of solid metal, of course not of plastic. Walter lived with a young, beautiful lady, his wife. Other than fighting, she was his life. She was stunning, such a lady. Her hair was blonde, long and wavy. All the men wanted her, but it was Walter who she preferred. They lived together in a nice little house, not quite a mansion. They would gladly accept an expansion. Their house was beautiful, but quite small, so small they almost had to crawl. Walter wanted to store his belongings, but what didn't let him was his surroundings. Their house was still elegant, but they wanted storage. In this house, though, it was at quite a shortage. Walter and his wife were fairly rich, but wanted more cash. After all, they were not even close to trash. One day, an offer came up for more money, but this task was not to just kill a bunny. The king had set up quite a contest. This was for knights who was the best. Walter and 63 others dared to enter, only the ones who needed no mentor. Walter's first 5 battles were quite easy, but the final match was not so breezy. A knight with no name, he thought he could win. He gave Walter a fight, attacking his shins. He even cut off Walter's left pinky toe. In the end, though, this was his only major blow. But oh, what lay ahead! Walter was not the one who ended up without a head. After his victory, he expected some gold. The king, though, was quite cold. He said that in order to pay, Walter must make the dragon outside of the city decay. Walter was mad and slightly scared. He had to frown, but he accepted without backing down. He returned back home after winning the tourney, but of course he was headed on another journey. Walter had heard that the dragon was wild. He was hoping, though, that it was just mild. The dragon, like any other, lived in a lair. To not die, Walter had to say a prayer. This lair was about 150 miles away. After he arrived, he would finally have his fray. To get there, though, was quite a long travel, especially when not even walking on gravel. On his journey, Walter met a lady, a gorgeous woman by the name of Katie. Katie, yes, she had some sort of grace. She told Walter to come over to her place. Walter was interested, but decided to decline. He stayed faithful, despite wanting to dine. Katie, though, wanted Walter secure. She tried to convince him, of course by her allure. She also mentioned her great big house, trying to make Walter her spouse. She said that she has lots of money, desperate to make Walter her honey. Walter loves his wife and cannot accept. She was so mad, and she almost wept. Katie is angry and wants Walter dead. She has a brother who's a knight to gladly cut off his head. Walter laughs, saying he's the greatest knight of all. To some other weakling, he shall never fall. After sleeping, he awakes to see a knight. Walter, of course, will readily fight. He is stunned, though, when Katie's brother runs away. Gosh, this has been quite a weird day. A knight or a coward, who will ever know? Acted like a coward, he had full armor, though. Gladly alone, Walter thanks God for letting him off easy. Being faithful isn't always so breezy. With only about 15 miles to go, Walter's aware. He's anxious to get to the lair. Finally arriving, the noise is at 0, and here he was, trying to be a hero. Guessing that somebody had done his job, Walter thought that he had gotten robbed. But wait, there is some sort of beast. Finally, Walter sees something, at least. With great disappointment, Walter notices the dragon's death. About to head back, he hears a breath. A great big roar soon follows. The dragon was just bored. With fury at great amusement, Walter pulled out his sword. He was ready to fight, quite like his foe. The dragon was clearly the favorite, though. Attacked with one huge fire breath, this doesn't even cause Walter his death. Due to his fabulous, dazzling armor, this barely causes him any harm. Now his turn, Walter once again advances. This is not the time to worry about houses and finances. With his great sword, Walter smacks. The dragon didn't even step back. Finally, with this strike, the dragon went down. Might as well give Walter the crown. Victory, Walter has achieved it, almost as if it was a skit. Victory was his, Walter was jolly. If only he now had a trolley. Walter was ecstatic, just thinking of the reward. All he could do was thank his sword. Just when he thought that it had ended, he couldn't believe what he just comprehended. The dragon, was it still conscious? Walter had to be cautious. He went back to the lair, and there the dragon was, giving him a stare. This was incredible. Walter couldn't believe it. Exhausted and tired, he once again had to commit. After seeing the dragon's epic fire breath, he thought that he was nearing his death. Walter, usually so arrogant and cocky, was almost as if he was almost balky. He knew, though, that he had to win. This caused the fight to begin. After minutes of fighting to no avail, he was almost thinking to just bail. He then remembered the award, which made him stop. This caused him to make one last chop. Finally made the dragon drop. It was almost as he had just flopped. With great excitement, Walter yelled, "Oh gosh, the dragon's starting to smell. Maybe that is just the beast starting to decay. Oh yes," he realized, "he's going to get his pay." Grateful and thrilled, Walter started his journey back, just happy that a dragon wasn't following his tracks. After days of travel, he encountered the king. In addition to the money, he gave him a gold ring. Now with this money, he could do whatever. It didn't matter. It would last forever. Of course, his first thought was to buy a mansion. After all, he did need an expansion. With his wife, they lived together freely. That was what they wanted, ideally. There was one thing that Walter loved more than his pride, and that ended up being his bride.